This is Make a Path Presents. My name is Ronnie Hayes. Today is November 9th, and The Walking Dead comic issue 149 was released today. The cover for this issue features Rick Grimes slouching in a chair, presumably thinking about what's coming, with the devil on his shoulder, and that's Negan. This is my all-time favorite cover. I'm actually picking up my hard copies in a couple days because I couldn't make it to the comic store today, but I did read the issue at Comixology. But let's go into the page count. 14 pages in Alexandria, because keep in mind, Maggie, those scenes with Maggie, she's still at Alexandria for those who forgot. And then we have 5 pages at the Sanctuary and only 3 pages at the Hilltop. Let's start with the Hilltop first. That basically just showed they are still, being secretive when they're getting to the Hilltop. We saw Andrea talking to Eduardo, I believe that's his name, about letting her know if anyone's coming looking for them. So the tension is still racked there, but it seemed like that was just to show continuity in the story, getting Lydia, settled in the Hilltop for her own protection. I did really enjoy the panel, the hug panel I called it, where, here, I'll put this panel up on the screen, but I really like this image that Charlie Adler did here. This is a very sweet image. I love that sun coming in. It actually reminded me of an older image back when Maggie, Rick, and Carl and Baby Herschel were looking at the sunset. I believe that was like issue 132, or it might have been earlier than that. Anyway, I love those certain panels like that. I do like the dialogue between Lydia and Carl, because we are starting to get, well, not starting to get it. Every time we see Lydia in the panels and she's revealing more and more about herself and her state of mind and how she thinks, and this one was pretty revealing because it shows that she is damaged and she knows that. There's definitely some awareness there, and even though she is pretty messed up, she sees Carl as a good guy, and Carl admits that it's probably because of his father, and he admits that he looks up to his father, which kind of debunks my idea that Carl would be a little more hardened than his father, a little more cold than his father, so it could still go that route, but I just thought Carl, being born in this world and everything he's gone through, he'd be a little colder than his father, but it is interesting that he looks up to him. But jumping right to Alexandria next, I owe Robert Kirkman an apology because I started worrying that they jumped the gun with asking Negan for help, but I really liked this conversation they had because it pulled the reins back a little bit. I'm like, oh no, it's going too far, and then there's all these conspiracy theories like he's just gonna let Negan out, and that all sounded crazy or seemed just too much, too soon. It was just no. And the very first words out of Rick Grimes' mouth were, you are never, ever getting out of this cell. I do like Negan's actions, though. He was all excited. He's like, who do you want me to kill? Whoop-de-whoop. Which, this shows that, even though Negan wants to get out and be productive, he's still, he's like, listen, I want to kill. He's still Negan, essentially. But I love how he sits back down with his head down like a scolded child, and he's like, well, this is embarrassing. Negan does have some very good dialogue throughout this. Well, then again, Negan usually always has some great dialogue. He has some funny dialogue. Oh my god, what was the one? This part here. This is when Negan is telling Rick, because for all my faults and despite how much you hate me, I kept a group of people who didn't like me in line and loyal, for the most part. Fucking Dwight. I love that part. And then he goes on and on. Truth be told, I, kind of pushed him, whoop-de-whoop, and he's like, any fucking who. And then at the end, he says something about, you can't even give me some sad eye contactless hand job or something. But Negan's got some funny dialogue. But the thing I liked most about Negan's conversation here is the advice he gives Rick. It's something that is so obvious, not specifically obvious, but it's something that is so true to Negan. I'm like dumbfounded how we didn't just guess something similar. We knew he'd give him advice, we knew whatever, but this is perfect advice to come from the perfect character to give this advice. It just fit perfectly, and that is basically to use this, this curse, use this as a blessing to manipulate the people. And it's basically just kind of, contorting the truth a little bit. And it is perfect. And, it's hard to read into exactly what he means specifically, but obviously he is basically saying, the boogeyman is out there, the whispers are out there, and Rick should pitch it in a political way where he's giving the people security so he can make something up. And now again, you can't go into specifics because it could be something as easy as, like in the next issue, Rick's covered in blood. It could be something as easy as, I don't know, going out there, finding an animal, coming back and being like, you know what, they tried to attack, I had to fight them off, they did retreat, I'm telling you guys now, we are safe here, but we need to build a standing army, we need to be prepared, because I almost died out there fighting one, I killed him, whoop-de-whoop. Now that is utterly ridiculous, kind of, sort of, because that's probably not the direction they're going to go, but you see how I'm putting that out there where you can use this, the boogeyman out there, so to speak, tell a little slight lie, give the people security, let them know they're safe. This is what Negan's saying. They're not calling for action, they're scared, they're calling for security. And I think that fits perfectly. Now, where it doesn't fit is they also drop the hint in this issue in Alexandria where that fucked up family, the white trash family, where the mother, Tammy, that family that was causing all that shit back in the hilltop, which essentially led to Sophia being beaten, Carl being put in jail, and then the truth came out about the kids initiating the attack. Now, they knock on Josh's parents' door, and it looks like they're going to continue this mob mentality and try to overthrow Rick, or maybe that's what the obvious conclusion is from that point on, because the next issue is Betrayed. We know it's getting hot and heated at Alexandria, so, are they going to betray him before Rick can utilize Negan's advice, or is it both going to happen? Are they going to betray Rick? Rick's going to get beat up, and Rick can still utilize some of Negan's advice to manipulate the situation a little bit. But it does look like in this issue, he does finally get Eugene to come back around. Now, at the sanctuary, this is where I'm going to actually look something up because I got totally confused. We all know that Sherry was Dwight's chick before, the new beginning. Yeah, they come in the room, they're arguing. She's like, I can't believe you. Did you see the look on those people's faces when they told you blah, 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 blah? Dwight turns around and he says, I saw the look on Diane's face. That was enough. I can't do this anymore. Fucking, I sound like a stuttering idiot. This isn't about the burden of leash, it's about her. Now, here's the thing, too. He says, I seen the look on Diane's face, and later in the same page, she's like, oh my god, it's about her. And then from that point on, she's talking about Sherry, obviously, because she says, when you guys got here and Negan offered her safety and luxury, what did she do? She kicked your ass to the curb. And I love this. I love the Laura chick right here. She won me over because so many people keep putting the women that Negan takes as wives as victims. Now, no, it's, a nasty situation to get into, but this is it. It's the same thing. The Negan's wives are no different than the gold diggers in our world today. No one calls them victims. They shit talk them. This is the same thing here. This chick is like, listen, Negan didn't pressure her. Negan didn't force her to do anything. He just offered her something she wanted. Now, they're obviously talking about Sherry, but they said the name Deanna or Diane. I don't know. I am utterly lost here. I think I need to reread it. I'm going to get this review done. I think I need to reread that, but I don't know. I'm lost. Somebody correct me down there. Why the hell are we talking about Deanne? Maybe I read that wrong, and he was talking about I seen someone's face or something else. Didn't he have another chick? Wasn't he with... damn it. But listen, I do want to talk about one thing that completely ruins something I talked about in a Q&A, and I talked about how Rick showed them they can, live without Negan's rule. You know what I'm saying? And I was talking about how they are allies now, and even though some of that is true, there is one thing that we know now that is huge. It's definitely a game changer in the story, because before we were thinking they were all allies and it was fine, but now Laura drops the bomb that the Saviors would attack Alexandria, you know what I mean? And they would take them over the same way that Negan did. It's just without Negan's leadership, you know, they would do it themselves. If Dwight leaves, they're going to attack Alexandria, which this could be very interesting, because now we know that it's the next issue is Betrayed, but I don't think the Saviors would turn that fast. I think it has to be the people at Alexandria who are going to turn on Rick. I don't think the Saviors can do it that fast, but now I'm thinking this does change things, you know, in a big way, in my opinion, because since Dwight wants to step down, you have the people at the Sanctuary who, you know, in the back of their minds are still saying, you know, fuck these people, I don't trust Rick, which was something we probably should have been a little more suspect on, you know, because there's little hints now that we look back in retrospect, but it's something that I just brushed off. There's going to be no squabbles, you know what I mean? But now we see that's not the case, and this could actually be something that's going to rest on the back burner for a little bit, and it could play later into Negan's story. Negan could be the only one to come out of the jail cell, maybe in issue 170, you know what I mean? And the Saviors are mounting an attack now. Negan comes out, you know, and takes over the Saviors and stops that attack. I mean, story-wise, that would be kind of underwhelming, because it would build up to an attack and Negan would stop it, and then everyone would leave, and it would be like, well, that was underwhelming. The only way to be able to do that is if that was happening at the same time without us knowing it, or I mean without the characters knowing it. The Whisperers were mounting an attack. Imagine that if the Whisperers fell into the background, the Saviors started revolting because Dwight left his leadership post, the Saviors start coming down to attack Alexandria. Alexandria is preparing to attack the Whisperers. When the Saviors come out, Alexandria comes out with their forces that they've been trained in the army for. Rick decides to let Negan out. After this time, Negan has built some whatever. He's like, well, fuck it, you know, get a sharpshooter up there. If Negan decides to attack, take him out first. And then he sends Negan out. Negan talks to the people, gets them. Now, this is a big if, because they could just beat Negan's ass and leave him for dead and continue their attack. But I'm just saying, story-wise, it would be pretty neat if, you know, Negan gets out, gets them to turn away, and or call a truce. We're going to do our own thing, whoop-de-whoop. And as they do that, and we as the readers think, okay, that was underwhelming, then the Whisperers come out of the bushes and mount their attack with a mega herd. That would be something we didn't see coming. That would be pretty cool, and I'm sorry for wasting your time on this bullshit, because none of this is probably going to happen. But anyway, listen, guys, I really like this issue. The cover is one of my all-time favorites. I think these are the issues we need. Sometimes we want it, and I see this far too often where we get close to issue 150, 100, you know, 50, issue 200, and we just want a major death. I know a lot of fans are talking about that, but we have to understand with issue 50, remember, that was just the first time Carl was on his own, and they did that fake out where, is Rick a zombie? Oh, no, he's not. And we didn't get any major deaths. We didn't get, you know, something huge and massive with the storyline. It was a very interesting part of the story, and it fits the overall telling of the story. And that's what I'm saying with 150. If we don't get a major death, but it's just a banging, you know, badass issue, don't beat it down too much, because we have to understand that this has to fit the overall story as well. And sometimes the overall story just doesn't match up with these certain numbers as far as big deaths go. So we might get one, we might not. If we don't, it doesn't mean it's a bad issue. It doesn't mean they let us down in a big number. It just means that the story wasn't ready for it right then and there. And let me know what you think about Negan's advice in this issue. And now that Rick said he's never getting out, do you think there's any hope at all in the future for Negan to get out, and how so? Now, you know what? We left out the cliffhanger in the issue, which is Dwight pulling out Lucille. We finally get to see Lucille in the new beginning. You know what? I didn't even think to look if she had her gunshot, because I noticed in the one image she didn't have a gunshot. What image was that? Anyway, yeah, look at that. I'll be damned. Good shit right there. You see that little chunk taken out? That's when Carl shot Lucille right before All Out War. But anyway, listen, you know, the cliffhanger is a pretty awesome image. However, at this point in time, I need to sit back and think about it because I'm not seeing how this fits in the story, because he's leaving, he's stepping down as leader, so he's taking his crossbow, he's taking Lucille, and he's out of there. But then in the letter hacks, Kirkman is talking about how, Dwight is going to play a role and the plan's coming up, whoop-de-whoop. So where is he going? Is he going to stop by Alexandria and say, listen, I'm out of here? Is he going to go ahead and leave Lucille down at the jail for some odd reason as he's on his way out for Negan? I mean, who knows? Thoughts and opinions about that cliffhanger in the comment box. At this point in time, I'm pretty stumped on what they plan on doing with Dwight, because it would seem kind of, underwhelming if they just say, okay, Dwight, or if they can talk him into being a leader and he turns around and goes back to being a leader. Something at this point has to continue on, so it looks like the Saviors might be a risk now for the people at Alexandria. Sheesh. So they're really mounting these risks. We have the people in Alexandria betraying Rick Grimes and essentially putting everyone at danger. We have Rick, who wants to build an army, which is the next step at growing stronger and bigger. We have a possible altercation coming from the Saviors if they decide to say screw this shit and that's it. We also have the Whispers out there. The dangers are mounting, let's put it that way. So thoughts and opinions in that comment box. I'm done talking, it's your turn. Subscribe now.